Hello, guys. So, this is your instructor here. Due to the COVID-19, we will be moving our courses through online, mandatory. So, I'm gonna start you guys off with lesson one of today. It will be the syllabus, the course introduction and syllabus. So, welcome to the SD 101 Front End Web Development course. In this course, you'll be learning the basics of HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript for creating modern and responsive web pages. Additionally, we will cover the basics of how web applications work. We'll finish the course by looking at jQuery and Bootstrap technologies. Any questions? If you guys don't know, Bootstrap is a framework for JavaScript, and Twitter mainly uses it. And this course prepares you for the Microsoft MTA 98-375 HTML5 application development fundamental certification. You will have the opportunity to take the exam at the end of the program. To get the most out of this course, we recommend you dedicate at least 5 hours per week to review what you learned in class and practice your skills. Do not miss class and do not fall behind in completing assignments. If you miss a day, you miss a lot. So for me, I want you guys to at least dedicate yourself at least 20 hours per week, and make sure you guys come to class. But since with the COVID-19, everything will be done online until we're instructed to go back into class into normal hours. Make sure you complete all assignments. If not, then you guys will be graded. So if you guys are missing a day, please let me know, or please let HR know. Alright, key terms I want you guys to know is the section with highlight important terms you should be aware of and their meaning. Lesson files. The section will hold links to any additional files for the lesson. Additional resources. This section will hold valuable links to outside resources and reference materials that can help you study. This section is not required for you to complete. However, if this lesson grabbed your interest, this section will point you to the interesting articles and videos that will challenge you to think deeper about the subject. So what does a web developer do? So they can be responsible for the way a site looks, the technical aspect of the site, and the site performance. Sometimes they will create and edit content for the site. Typical tasks a web developer could do daily include meeting with clients and managers to discuss the site requirements and designs, write and test code for the website, work with other members of IT and web development team to complete tasks, work with graphic artists to build the layout of a site. Senior web developers will often be involved in design decisions of developing and building a new site, and make choices about the technology and tools to use. New developers are typically responsible for smaller changes, minor bug fixes, and testing. A web developer might work for a company with a large team of other developers, or work solo or freelancer. So here, I don't want you guys to need to know any terms, lesson files, or additional resources, or anything further than that. So why do students struggle to learn software development? So, it could seem intimidating, too much meaningless technical jargon. Starting your career as a web developer can be daunting. New students don't know where to start. This course is designed to take you from an absolute beginner to having the knowledge and skills you need in your first job. Some reasons students are having trouble starting out is IT folks can be intimidating. They must be smart, right? So web developers are just people like you and me. They're not geniuses. It's easier than ever to build websites thanks to incredible new tools. You can become a web developer if you work hard at it. Technical jargons. Developers sound smart throwing around like asynchronous programming. When we look it up, the definition looks like a foreign language. Here's a secret: a lot of this technical jargon is meaningless or redundant. Technical people are constantly coming up with a new jargon or ideas, and the concept behind a lot of these technical terms is simple, even when the definition is long and overcomplicated. So for technical jargon, for me, it's just like it's a shortcut of just saying simple stuff. Like FSD stands for full stack developer, SDE, software development, development engineer. Not seeing the foremost forest for the trees. Not seeing the forest for the trees. Throughout the course, we're going to focus on the big ideas and the fundamental concepts. Don't feel bad because you don't know how everything works in the smallest details. You want to take a driver's ed course and tell your instructor, I can't learn to drive. I don't know how the engine in my car works. It's the same idea here. We're teaching you how to build a website. Um, so here, same thing. You guys don't have to learn, remember, or continue and further your research. Getting a job as a web developer. So, practice every day. When you're first starting out, there are some things you can do to get noticed and get more experience. Some of the things you should include: showcase your portfolio on website. Have a digital portfolio, like these right here. If you pull these up, you're gonna see their portfolio, their blog. It's a great way to start your your work, and also get a better experience, and to allow yourself to see other companies will see you stand out from this way. So here's like a very professional website that the developer built, and the layout is white, and you can see that the letterings are dark and it's visual, and also you can see like very of these known suites, and great concept of art. All right, so do freelance project for your friends, local communities, or sites like freelancer.com. Share your work on GitHub. Contribute to an open source project. Participate in hackathon coding jam. Network with other developers. Follow tech news. Obtain industry certifications. You'll be taking exams like Microsoft HTML5, application development, fundamentals by the end of the program. Practice job interview question. Seriously, it's one of the best things you could do. Sooner or later, we're probably gonna do mock interviews, and I'm gonna give you guys some insights on how to do interviews. Like some interviewers might look for ethical or behavior problems, and what that is they're just gonna see if you're behaving correctly. Also, another thing is like if you guys are interviewing, right, and they ask you about like a serious problem, like what are some problems you guys facing at your company. You guys don't want to go out there and tell them that, oh, I got into a fight with someone, or I don't like he or she. No, you just tell them like something like along the lines of very oblique, and so there's some disorganization skills that the company might have. I recommended to the management that they should prep up and fix their organization skills, and to overcome that, we simply organize all the materials there at the company, something like that along the lines. You guys don't want to be saying something that's like very red alert to them. That's one way you guys won't get a job. So moving on to lesson. So we're gonna go to lesson 2 already. What is a text editor? So we write code in text editor. All the major technology we use to build web pages are all text-based. We write simple lines of text that our web browsers turn into powerful looking websites. We call the text we write code. There are many text editors available to write code in. Some are free, some are paid. Things like I use are IntelliJ, WebStorm. That's a great one, but that's paid. So if you're a student, go ahead and try to download that. If not, the one we're using is VS Code. The program Notepad on Windows is an example of a text editor. There's very few features, but it's not very. It would be hard to use due to the fact that it just doesn't have all the plugins necessary for you to dish out code. Word processing programs like Microsoft Words are not suitable for writing code because these programs store our documents in complex files instead of simple text. So when you guys are saving that extension will turn into a doc file. Think of it like and they add extra hidden invisible junk that would mess up your code. We are going to be using Visual Code Studio for our course, one of the most popular, powerful, and free text editors available. However, there are great other text editors out there like Atom, Brackets, and Sublime. I like Atom and Sublime. Those are pretty known. All text editors work about the same, and if you learn one, you won't have trouble switching to other softwares. So here we wouldn't really need to search or do any further readings. Alright, so Visual Code Studio walkthrough. For all the students, I want you guys to make sure that you guys have check if VS Code is downloaded on your device. If not, go ahead and download VS Code. Um, Also, due to the COVID-19, make sure you also download Google Hangout and also join the network there. And there I will update you guys on along the lines of where our courses will take us and follow. So here for the VS Code Studio, um, go ahead and open VCS. We will see a screen similar to this, so you guys will see this software. Uh, Go ahead and play around with it. Make sure you guys are familiar with it. After that, I want you guys to pay attention closely to the details here. After that, the standard drop-down menus, all of your options for working in the program can be found under one of these menus. The activity bar switches between most common tasks we can do in the program. The sidebar displays details such as files and folders or debugging information. The editor, this is where we see the content of our text files and write code. Panels display the output from any code along the command line terminal for typing system commands. The icons of the activity bar are shown below. We mainly use file explorers, which let us view all the files in the project folder. We'll also manage extensions to get a few extra add-on features. Pressing a shortcut called Control-Shift-P allows us to find any commands by searching. This feature is called Command Palette. So you will have all these commands pulled up. Creating and saving files, click on the File Explorer icon on the activity bar. Click on the Open Folders button. The Documents window appears. Select Documents and click New Folder. So here, name your new folder SD1101 and then select the folder. Visual Studio should now look like this. Now here you will have all your files in this folder. Click on a new file icon shown above to create a new file. Name it myfirstfile.txt. After that, in the editor, type the following sentence: I'm going to be a great web developer. On the file menu drop down, click on File Save to save a file. Congratulations, you created your first file in VS Code Studio. Now let's create a few more. Create these 3 files. First file is going to be first HTML.html, first CSS.css, and first JavaScript.js. Notice the icons for each of the files is different. Visual Code Studio will provide different kinds of help while writing your code based on the type of file it is. There are a few more settings to be aware of before starting to code. Alright, so HTML auto closing tags. Click File, Preferences, and Settings. In the search bar, type HTML. Should be automatically enabled. If not, go ahead and enable it. When turned on, this auto add the closing HTML tag. For example, if you type HTML, VCS will also add a slash tag. If you're messing up, you can turn it off here. Editor, tab size, in the search bar, type tab. So here, this is just telling you guys will have an opening and closing tag. So it's kind of useful if you guys are doing long and tedious coding. When formatting HTML, we'll use tab often to indent. The default tab is 4 spaces, but working with HTML is better to set the value to 2 spaces. Go ahead and put it to 2 spaces here. So this should be the picture on here. Live browser preview. Visual Studio don't come with a built-in way to see our HTML. We'll look into a browser. There are 2 types of views to view your HTML in the browser to see your work. The long way view and Explorer. Right click on your HTML file and choose a review in Explorer. Double click on the HTML file that appears in Explorer to open Chrome or Firefox. Using this method, you will keep switching back and forth between the browsers and VCS. So this is where you right click, you review and Explorer, and then you could double click HTML. Your first HTML program should pop up, and that will be your first program. Congratulations, you guys created your first program. So if not, go ahead and download the install browser preview. Click on the marketplace icon on the activity bar. Search the browser preview by Kenneth Ochtenberg. Click install. A new browser icon will appear on the activity bar. Click on a new icon to launch the live preview. So if not, go ahead and Google it. Google VCS install browser preview. you could download it through the website from there, and it'll actually automatically direct you to the VS Code and install the plugin automatically. If not, you can also search it through the software. Right click on the file and click copy path. In the browser preview, type in this right here, file, semicolon, double semicolon, // and then paste it right there. Right click on the browser preview URL and click paste and go. So this will show you copy the path. So this is what the plugin you need to download. It should look like this. Copy path, and after that, go ahead and the right side right here, you should see a browser preview. You could type file and then paste and go right there, and then hello world program should pop up. So here, congratulations, you guys made your first program. After that, if you guys want to check out additional resources, here we'll just check this out, and go ahead and see this video, watch this video. After that, it'll show you guys a tutorial and walk through the Visual Studio Code and give an overview of the basic features, the outline, download, install VS Code, see an overview of the user's interface, install support for favorite programming language, change your keyboard shortcuts to easily migrate from other editors using key binding extension, customizing your editor with themes, explore VS Code features in the interactive editor playground. So,
hi everyone, it's Kenneth from VS Code. Today I'm here to show you how you get started. The first thing we're going to do is to download VS Code by going to code.visualstudio.com. I'm here on my Mac, so I'm going to download the Mac version, but you can grab anyhow. The next from here, you can open a full search at the very bottom of the window. Applications. C# editors. Theme. Click is our That's a lot of cool.
So we're going to go down. You guys want to learn more? Check out the documentation. Documentation is important in my class. So if you guys click here, this is about the user interface. It's hard. Visual Studio Code is a code editor like many other code editors. Versus Code adopts a common user interface and layout on Explorers on the left, showing all the files and folders you have access to, and on a editor on the right, showing the content of the files you open. Don't be afraid if you guys see these. Go ahead and just keep continuing. Basic layout versus code comes with a simple intuitive layout that maximizes the space provided for editor. Documentations, you guys can keep going on and on, but just get a good grasp of like little things here, what you guys need to be reading. If you guys want to know about the keyboard shortcuts, there's another one right here. And alright, so hopefully that we went over some of that, and that will be lesson 1.2. I'm going to try to go to our next lesson, which is the web browser. So for the web browser on your computer is responsible for doing four critical things. The browser downloads the HTML web pages from the internet. The browser converts all the HTML code from the HTML code into the graphics, colors, pictures, and images you see. This is called rendering. Each web browser software can render slightly different. For example, you may know that some of the web pages look slightly different from the home browsers and the Firefox browser. This is due to the small differences in the ways each browser renders the HTML. The browser executes all JavaScript code, including with the web page. The browser sends data you type into the website back to the web server. So everything you see is kind of, if you guys don't know, there's a web server, web page, and you're going back and forth and connecting to a host and just retrieving information. So the key terms I want you guys to know is rendering. You guys don't know, remember that. So now we're able to get more in depth about the web server. Alright, so share the web pages, process the data. A web server is a computer that stores all of its websites, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the three main components that makes the FSD, full stack development, and any other code required to make the website work. A website is hosted or shared on a web server. Hosting a website means that all the files, code, graphics, pages, and contents required to make the site work are available to the server. The server allows users to download the pages of the site through their web browsers. While most web browsers on the internet, a web server is not required to be on the internet to function. Many companies have private networks with web servers only available inside the company. Many companies offer web hosting for a monthly price. They will allow you to upload your website to the web server, where they host those servers and make your sites available to the internet. Things like GoDaddy, Bluehost, and HostGator are examples of companies that offer web hosting services. So, key terms I want you guys to remember is web hosting. And if you guys want to check out any further learning, go ahead and check out this website called Tech Radar. Here you guys will see in 2020 that the best web service you guys want to have is Bluehost, HostGator, InMotion Hosting. Tips before you need to get started before you guys go ahead and do it. What you're expecting to pay, beware of pricing, and just how trustworthy your provider is. Let's go ahead and get back into our lesson, which is we're going to learn about HTTP protocol. So if you guys don't know what HTTP is, it's just HTTP connects to a web browser to web servers. Make sure that it's HTTP. If it has an I symbol, that's probably not secured, and if it's HTTPS, it's going to be secured. Web servers and web browsers communicate by using HTTP network protocol. We always give a web address in the form of something simple like Google. This tells the computer to go contact the Google web servers using the HTTP protocol. As a new web developer, you don't have to worry too much about how HTTP works under the hood, but there are a few things you must know. When we download a web page from the internet, HTTP sends a GET request. Every time you open a new page, your web browser gets an HTTP GET request to the web server saying, hey, I want to download your page. Whenever we send information to a website, such as filling out a form or entering a username and password, the browser sends a HTTP post request. The post request says to the server, here's some information I want to give it. When something goes wrong and the web server cannot offer us a web page we request, it will send an error code. The most famous error code would be a 404 error code, which means the page requested cannot be found on the web server. Common errors include, the 301/302 errors, meaning the website has been moved to a new server. The 401 meaning it's anything that's unauthorized to view the web page, mainly that probably in the military. 403, which is forbidden. The user has logged in but isn't allowed to view the page. For example, a website might take parts of the site viewable only to paying members. The 404 that we just went over, and then the 500, the internal error. This means the website was found but experienced a problem and isn't working as expected. So here we got down to the HTTPS. It's a secure version of HTTP. This is here where you probably feel safe to enter your credentials and information like your credit cards or anything like that. That uses encryption to protect the communication between the web server and the web browser. We should always use HTTPS when shopping, entering payment details, sending usernames and password, or sending any other information that you think that might be classified or sensitive. So here key terms are going to be HTTP, HTTPS, GET, and POST. If you guys want to check out Firefox, it's going to tell you a little bit more along the lines of error codes and successful responses, redirection messages, information responses, and client error responses, and anything else. Alright, so IP addresses. So IP addresses won't give you the exact location, but will give you an approximate location of where you will be. So in every computer has an address and phone number. All web servers have an IP address, which is used to find a server on the internet or a private network. An IP address would probably look somewhere along the lines of like a couple like these binary, not binary, but like these digits here that are ending in decimals. An IP address is assigned by the server admin. So if you guys haven't taken my class before for the server admin, we went over some of these topics about networking. When you purchase web hosting, the IP is provided and set up for you in most cases. In most businesses, the IP address will be set by the person who installs the web for the server operating system. The most important thing you understand is that without an IP address, your website won't be usable. You can also access the website by typing its IP address. Try typing something like this into your web browser and see what happens. This probably will redirect me to Google. Just talks about the COVID-19 there. Into your web browser, see what happens. You can also look up websites and find IP addresses of websites on the internet. UltraTools is a site where you can search for the IP records of any website that is registered. Give it a try and with the link below. So here, if you guys want, you guys could type in like random names, like you guys want to type in YouTube.com, and then you guys want to type in my URL. It'll come up with the IP address right there. Or actually, you can't put in any URLs, but it'll come up something like here. So here you have an IP address. It's owned by Google, and the organization is by their Google LLC. And you can check out their address right here, where they're hosting it or serving it, or their servers, and their IP address. There it is, their source. Alright, so here you guys want to check out more additional resources. You could go to this site called ultratools.com. If you guys want to check out a little bit more into depth, you guys could read what is an IP address, what's IPv4, that uses 32 binary bits to create a single unique address on a network. IPv6 uses 128 binary bits to create a single unique address on the network. Dynamic IPs, and you guys could keep reading from there on. Great useful information here. And also, here's another one. This is the same website. So DNS and Domain Names. Every computer has its name. So it's just a way to put a mask on these numbers. So it would be difficult to remember some of these numbers. So domain name service allows websites to have friendly names like Microsoft.com, Google.com, or Amazon.com. When you type in Amazon.com into your web browser, behind the scenes all this happened in a fraction of a second. The browser sends a DNS request to look up Amazon.com to its IP. A DNS server returns the web server IP. The browser sends a HTTP GET request to the web server. The web server sends back the web page. If anything goes wrong, you'll get a 404 page saying it's not found and it's an error. In order to get a DNS name for your website, you must register your website with the hosting company such as GoDaddy or Bluehost. They typically make process quick and easy. The Whois database is a master list of every website in the world. You could use Whois to look up the DNS registration for any website or even contact information for their owners. So the key terms I want you guys to know is DNS. If you guys want to find out a little bit more resources, just check out whois.net. And you guys could check out, like, for example, Google, or let's type in yahoo.com. You guys could check out whois.net. The domain registered is yahoo.com. Here the register is Whois. The server is Whois, markmonitor.com. The contact email, abuse complaints at markmonitor.com, and you get the contact phones. And you guys want to get into a little bit more learning in depth about this. What is a DNS? It's a domain name system. it's a phone book of the internet. How does DNS work? The process of DNS resolution involves converting a host name, such as anything like Google, into a computer-friendly IP address, such as these numbers. There are 4 DNS servers involved in loading a web page. DNS recursor. The recursor can be thought as a librarian who is asked to go find a particular book somewhere in the library. A root name server. The root server is the first step in translating, resolving a human readable host name into an IP address. The TLD name server, the top level domain server. TLD can be thought of a specific rack of books in a library. Authoritative name server. The final name server can be thought as a dictionary on a rack of books in which a specific name can be translated into definition. So here's a little bit more in depth what's the difference between an authoritative DNS server and recursive DNS resolver. You guys can see this is where the diagram follows. Alright, so here in web hosting, every internet website is registered and has an owner. When you want to set up a website on the internet, the process typically looks like this. Pick out a great website name, use whois, make sure the name is available. Register your name with a web hosting service such as GoDaddy and register your domain. When you register, you also have an option to purchase an IP address and a web server as well. It's also perfectly okay to mix and match. For example, you can purchase your domain name from Cloudflare, but purchase your web server hosting and IP from DigitalOcean. However, mixing providers can be slightly more difficult to get started without a bit more knowledge of DNS. For here, you guys don't have to learn any key terms or do any more in-depth knowledge here. We're done with lesson 1.3. Let's continue to lesson 1.4. Alright, so the difference between a front end and a back end and the whole FSD. Mainly I want you guys to learn all of it, all the components of the FSD, full stack developer, front end and back end. But as long as when you guys get a little bit further along, you guys probably want to choose front end or back end. That's your decision. And front end is going to be about UIs, about the whole user interface, how pretty it looks. And the back end is mainly going to be like all the coding, all the mathematics stuff that's going to be also typed in code. So in web development, we can be grouped into 2 categories, the front end and the back end of the website. So the front end is going to be always made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript technologies, and involves all the tasks that happens in the web browser. Front end tasks includes things like designing the layout of the web page, creating CSS stylings, updating the content of HTML pages, and writing JavaScript for the web browser to execute. And then the back end's gonna be mainly about the framework. So this is gonna involve tasks like what's gonna happen on the web server. Programming languages to choose from the back ends are like PHP, Node.js, JSP, and ASP.NET, or React.js, or MongoDB, or AngularJS. Those are good frameworks also, and that's gonna branch out from the JS or JavaScript. Our example of backend technology. Website typically only use one of these languages for the backend. Backend tests might include programming the server to process input from users to return data to the web server from a database. Web developers can choose to specialize in front end or back end. Skilled front end developers work with graphic designers to implement beautiful site layouts and have a focus on creating the best experience possible for the users. Experienced back-end developers have a focus on deep knowledge or programming languages. A full-stack developer is a developer who can implement both the front end and the back end of the website, as well as implement the database portions of the website. A full-stack developer should also have a good project management and be able to work with a team. So here, if you guys haven't already, go ahead and choose a team. To 2 to 3 people. I know that we're not going to be able to be in class to choose a team yet, so I want you guys to get ready, and after that I'm going to give you guys a project to do. It's going to be based off a website or a web app, and I want you guys to create it in a team and choose a project manager. So what is a stack? So software tools for every browser, service, and database. So what is a stack? Full stack web developer. The stack is a set of technology we use to create and complete a web app. There's no one software tool we use to create web apps. Instead, we use a suite of tools which we call the stack. There are many different versions of the stack. Popular stacks include the LAMP stack. Very popular is Linux, Angular, MongoDB, and PHP. That's probably one of my favorite. The mean stack, the MongoDB, Express.js, AngularJS, and Node.js. And that's probably one of the hardest ones due to the fact that AngularJS frequently updates their languages. And the Microsoft stack. We're going to be teaching you guys the Microsoft stack, and you guys will be able to eventually build a foundation and also just learn from any other type of stacks there is. And all right, let's look closely at the Microsoft stack. So the area for the UIs will probably be the big three: HTML, CSS, and JS. And this is going to be in the web browser. The middle tier server level is going to be the ASP.NET framework and C#. So when you guys see a C and a hashtag or a number symbol, we call this C# in the computer science field. And this is going to happen in the web server. And this is in the area of database level, the Microsoft SQL server. This is going to happen in a database. So to make a website work, we have three areas to solve. The UI, which is user interface, how many users interact with my app. So in the web browser, the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. How will my app receive data from the browser on my web server using ASP.NET and C# programming language? How will my app permanently store data it needs in my database using Microsoft SQL servers or SQL? This course focuses on the user interface technologies. Here, I don't want you guys to remember any key terms or do anything else after that, but you guys could actually get more in depth with that. Website versus web apps. So all web apps and websites, but not all websites are web apps. The difference is typically around how a site is planned to be used. A basic website might only contain information about company for the users to read. A web application is typically intended for the users to perform a task. However, there's a bit of gray area here. The folks at Airbnb would call their site a web app, but we call Amazon an e-commerce website. People say they visit Walmart's website, but you can't shop there. So Amazon's a great web app and website. For this class, we'll consider a web app and website that allow users to create, read, edit, and delete data. A web app is meant to compete with traditional desktop or mobile app. At the end of the day, the names, skills, and tools are used to build web apps and websites. Here again, you guys want to get more in depth, you guys can check out what's a website and web app. Benefits of a web apps. Okay, so there's not going to be no operating system requirements. Write the code once. There are many different benefits to building your application versus a web app. Benefits include no need to write code for different operating systems, nothing for users to install or update, all users are using the same version of the app. The only thing a user needs is a browser and an internet connection. A lower cost to develop. Web apps are not perfect. Some of the problems with the web apps can be slower than a desktop and mobile apps. The internet is not 100% reliable. Internet goes out. Have to support different web browsers. Not as well suited for graphic extensive apps like gaming, CAD, graphic arts. Don't want you guys to get into more depth because we're still on the first lesson here. So let's get back into lesson 1.5. Virtual workspace. In this lab, we'll work make sure your virtual workspace is ready to use. Practice logging into your workspace and make sure you can log in and launch programs. I'll be able to assist you guys, but since I'm not there, hopefully you guys could actually get familiar with your device and start practicing with the softwares. Try logging in using your email, create an email, and also update yourself with the software. So practicing using VS Code here, you guys are gonna probably spend a lot of your time on here creating your website or web apps. Go ahead and install the browser preview, practice setting up your folders and creating files. After that, I want you guys to make sure you guys have screenshots of your code. So I want a couple screenshots of your code, your program, and make sure you have your name. Make sure you have your name filed, your file name, and also inside your file also have it named correctly. And after that, make sure you guys have a summary and talk about what problems you guys face while creating this program. So that's gonna be for your lab and assignment. So let's continue to 1.6 research web development. All right, here. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and reference my research video, how to make a research paper. And here I want you guys to at least make 2 articles, a news site about web development. Try to find websites that focus on news and news technology and web development. So this is going to be part of your research about becoming a new web developer. After reading the articles, reflect on what it means to start your journey as a developer. Things you can write about include why you choose to take this course, what you hope to get out of this course, or imagine what you'll be doing when you become a professional developer. After that, make sure you guys cite it. Go ahead and go to Our Purdue and use a citation machine and put it on a different paper, name it reference, and edit and make sure it's also neat and understandable and legible. So that's gonna be for your first lesson, all that together. Sorry, I can't be there. So hopefully when this all clears up and the CDC give us the go ahead, we'll get back into session. But I want you guys to go ahead and knock all this off, and then also get ready for a big project, and do a little bit research on the FSD part, and make sure you guys stay focused. All right, so see you guys.